Torso. The main bulk of the body belongs to the torso of the animal. Except for the few hairless breeds, this part of the body entirely covers the hair with hair. The hair length of the body depends on the type of the breed. Some breeds, as smooth and long-haired collie, smooth and long-haired Chihuahuas, and Dutchland varieties, etc., differ just based on their one characteristics. The hair on the torso is not only differs in its length, but also vary how this hair grows and shapes. The radical change can be made by cutting the volume of the hair on some parts of the torso. This is especially visible in case of breeds with long curly hair all over the body. Such coats allow the hairstylist to sculpt the body significantly. This will hide some defects to improve the overall appearance of the dog. For instance, by taking off the volume of the hair coat on the sides, the hairstylist can make the dog look thinner. Changing the volume of the coat on the chest may improve the visible impression of the dog to more powerful, more elegant. Of course, experienced judges should find the defects. That is the reason for hand examination of the dog during show competition. But the overall impression could be improved. Grooming books explain how to cut most breeds. Cut the hair on the back till certain lengths, use blade X on the torso, etc. To do an individual haircut, the groomer has to be creative, to deviate from the instructions. Cut hair on every element of the body according to individual characteristics of certain animal seen through the image of the ideal dog. Neck and top line, bottom line. For general impression of length of the neck and top line of the back plays the key role. Shortening the hair on the neck makes it look longer and vice versa. The hair on the top of the dog back may level the top line, may produce the impression of higher winners as they really are, and may correct the shape of the line and croup. Also, the length of the hair under the body may change the dog contour significantly, as seen in the picture 5C and D. Number 4, we're going to talk about paws and length and tails and parts. The way hair is cut on the paws and legs and pelvis significantly influence the dog appearance in the pose and movement. If the groomer knows well what is more desirable for certain breed and which deviation from the ideal form has certain representation of the breed, he or she can fix the visual comfortation of the average dog. See as picture 13A and B. So picture 13, improvement of the image of the dog legs by haircut. A, improvement of the pose positioning, and B, improvement of the dog ungulation. I, X on real dog footprint, and X on the oval dog footprint made by grooming. So that's like in this picture. So number 5, we're gonna look at the proportions. What really makes dog attractive in the proportions, the harmonious combination of the size of the head, neck, torso, belly, hips, and leg length is the challenging situation. Recommendations about proportions are difficult. The haircut can make an image of the head longer or make shoulder appear higher, but in the same time, there is a risk of shortening the neck more than needed. The image of enlarged torso and parts can be produced an expression of the short back, which is highly desirable in many breeds. You always have to remember that when you take something from one part, it means that the eyes simultaneously compensate by adding volume and size to other parts of the body. Number 6. Hair color, brightness, and texture. The dog appearance significantly depends on the quality of the coat, not only of its volume and shape. For dog show purposes, coat dyeing is illegal, but even these clients, there are several ways to improve the color of the coat with special shampoo and grooming methods. For instance, in some breeds, a white spot on the chest is undesirable. Reduction of a number of such undesirable white hair with thinning shears may improve the dog's look. The white coat of the dog may be emphasized by shampoo with some blue pigments. The brightness and shine of the coat makes the impression of the healthy dog and makes them more attractive. Special ingredients which feed the hair can significantly improve the impression. For many breeds, the texture of their coat is one of the important breed characteristics. Most terrier standards specify the texture of the coat has to be rather vary, and a coat of some other breeds, silky terrier, soft coated terrier, etc., has to be rather soft and silky. Special shampoos and conditioners can improve these parameters significantly. Combination of body parts. The perfect head, dog length, dog line, and nice tail and other body parts combination together won't always produce a beautiful image of the dog, even if these parts are assembled in the right order. The impression of the dog is generalized, and the grooming presentation of every part should be done in consideration of each other. There are two approaches to make the appearance of the dog as whole a piece of art: complementation and compensation. Complementation implies that each part is perfect shape so as complement all others in the overall plan for the entire body. For instance, even if the impression of the certain well-coated breed depends on a massive head, of groomers should keep in mind that the size of the head is not a separate parameter but are relative to other parts of the body. Enlarging the head visually could be achieved by more hair on the head and by less hair on the body, and even better through a combination of both. Compensation is a method of visual correction of the dog's appearance during grooming by shifting the focus from one piece to another. For example, if a certain dog has a great head but its back has some defects, the groomer has to use hairstyling to redirect the eyes of viewers from back to the front. And additionally, another way to improve dog appearance, other than compensating for the part of there are too small, ears, tails, skull, etc., by making the hair on the parts longer while simultaneously reducing the size of coat around such parts. Compensation is mostly a way of shifting focus, and it's a very powerful method for regular dogs, but not for show dogs. Sometimes nice accessories like bows and bandanas and the color can change the image significantly. Of course, such methods are less applicable for dog shows, so some degree they would work there as well. Proper show leads, hair clips, even the handler's outfit can influence the dog appearance in the ring. For instance, black Pomeranians look better if the handler wears light-colored trousers rather than dark one. I remember there was a black Russian Terrier whose name starts with K. Actually, K was a rather poor representative of his breed. It's only as one of the first black Russian Terriers in the US and that has deserved some attention. In more Black Russian Terriers populated palace, he would never be considered a show dog. But even here, a lot of work has to be done to prepare him for the show competition. Despite his owner's ambition, Kay hadn't won a single competition before coming to our salon. His anatomy has several severe defects. The head was too short, the short neck, low shoulders, crooked crops, straightened back legs, narrow ankles, etc. We saw these defects as soon as he stepped inside. The first thing we did was analyze how this dog would be judged at the show. We cut his cheek hair as short as we could and save as much hair on the back of the head as possible. The head started to look a bit longer. It was very difficult to find the proper hair length for the Kay's neck, because making an impression of a longer neck will shorten the head and vice versa. Kay needed both effects. We also had a difficult task of choosing proper size of Kay's shoulders. Too high the shoulder shortened his neck, and low ones would make him look less muscular. Another problem, we had to make Kay more rectangular and taller, so we had to cut as much hair as possible on his front. At the same time, save some accentuate his powerful chest. Shorten him from the behind by cutting hair on his butt. As the balance of proportions shifted and the rear has less hair, the defects in his hind legs stood out more. The back legs also gave us some sort of difficulties. Kay's back legs were almost completely straight, like a pair of sticks, which is very bad for the breed appearance. The solution was to cut as much hair on his pelvis as possible and to save almost all length of hair on his hocks. Another thing, the paws. I realized that his paws were at the wrong angle to one another, both front and toes out. If we trimmed the hair around paws symmetrically, the defects became obvious. To hide it, we shifted the axe of the cut around his paws to align their ovals with the line of the spine, picture 13a. Kay had too short of the tail, and we left the maximum amount of hair possible on it. But we had to make the hair frame on the tail asymmetrical, as well as hide its overly low connection with the butt. When all these corrections were done, Kay won many shows. Of course, judges saw Kay's defects, but because of the nice general presentation, they often forgave that. After a while, Kay's owner began to think that this success was earned by the dog, and the times Kay lost were our fault. He left our salon for someone else, who cut exactly as the standards require, but Kay never won again. The losing streak was caused not by adjusting the hair to the individual dog. As a proud and ambitious man, Kay owner never ended discuss Kay defects with the groomer, and as a result, Kay never was as nice as he was in our hands. Another thing that is very important for general impression of the dog is the animal movement. On the groomer's table, we see the dog stand still, but after the dog leaves the salon is mostly in movement. The hair that frames its head, body and legs will wave in the breeze, and the hair from other locations. Special shampoos, conditioners, and sprays are used for keeping the desirable shape while in motion. But sometimes individualized haircut may be necessary. We call the dog movement the greatest contributor to its image.